Money doesn't change your value. It reveals your habits. That means if you give a poor mindset $1 million, they'll be broke again in a year. But if you give a wealthy mindset $10, they'll find a way to multiply it. So the secret? Become the kind of person money sticks to. The wages you earn are temporary. The philosophy you adopt is permanent. Minimum wage is what the world gives you by default. The millionaire mindset is what you give yourself by design. The road from paycheck to prosperity doesn't start with action. It starts with awareness. Awareness that you are more than your job, more than your bills, more than your background. The moment you recognize that, you've already earned your first dividend. Now, I know the frustration. You work hard, you stay honest, you show up every day, and still, it feels like you're going nowhere. But hard work without clear thinking is like running on a treadmill. Lots of movement, no progress. The real breakthrough doesn't begin with a raise, it begins with a mental shift. Today, I want to talk to you about that shift. The one that takes a person from just getting by to getting ahead. From surviving to thriving. From minimum wage to millionaire mindset. Because here's the truth. You don't rise to your income, you fall to your standards. Change the standard, change the mindset, and everything else begins to change with it. Let's begin. Let me tell you something I learned a long time ago. The most powerful asset a person can develop isn't money, it's clarity. And clarity doesn't just arrive by accident. It's the result of quiet, focused thinking. In fact, if there's one daily discipline I could hand to anyone on the journey from average to exceptional, it's this. Carve out time each day to think. Not to react, not to scroll, not to hustle, but to think. Deliberately, quietly, on purpose. Now, the reason most people don't do this is because thinking feels unproductive. We're so conditioned to doing all the time that thinking feels like we're wasting the day. But let me remind you, motion is not progress. Busyness is not productivity. And activity doesn't always equal achievement. You can be incredibly active and still broke. You can be in motion and still headed in the wrong direction. That's why you need a pause, a daily pause, to assess the course before you waste your life on a path that leads nowhere. I remember early in my own transformation, I started to schedule 15 minutes in the morning where I would sit quietly with just a notepad, no phone, no television, just me and my mind. And during that time, I'd ask questions. Where am I going? What's working? What's wasting my time? Where's my money going? What am I building? What am I tolerating that I shouldn't be? And the answers didn't come all at once. Sometimes it was silence. But slowly ideas began to appear. New directions, better questions, smarter decisions. That quiet time became a meeting with the most important person in my life, me. Let me tell you why this is so critical. If you don't think about your money will disappear. If you don't think about your goals will get hijacked by someone else's agenda. If you don't think about your habits will start to think for you and not in your favor. Most people don't need more hustle. They need more clarity. Because once you're clear, the hustle becomes strategic. The movement has meaning. And your energy becomes focused instead of scattered. Now here's a practical step. Take a look at your calendar and block out 15 minutes a day. Maybe it's in the morning before the world wakes up. Maybe it's at night when things are quiet. But guard this time like your life depends on it, because your future does. Use that time to journal your thoughts. Ask yourself one powerful question a day. Reflect on your actions. Review your numbers. Write out your vision. I'm telling you, some of the most life-changing breakthroughs will happen in those quiet 15 minutes. I've met wealthy people across the world, and you know what they all have in common? They think differently. But more than that, they schedule time to think. That's the difference. They don't leave it to chance. They don't wait for inspiration. They put it on the calendar because they know a still mind builds a strong future. You can't afford to let the noise of the world drown out the wisdom within you. Make thinking time a non-negotiable. It will become the quiet engine behind your loudest victories. Most people live like the next Friday's the finish line. They think in weeks, they survive in months, and they panic about years. But here's something that separates the wealthy from everyone else. They stretch their thinking far beyond the moment. While the average person is trapped in daily chaos, the wealthy train their minds to think decades ahead. That's the game changer. If you want to build wealth, you've got to think long term and then discipline yourself to decide short term. It's a two-part strategy. Keep the mountain in view, but focus your feet on the next right step. Let me tell you, I used to think in short loops. How do I pay this month's bills? What can I afford this week? How do I survive until next payday? But that kind of thinking creates a trap. Because when you only think short term, you end up borrowing from your future to fund your present. And that's how so many people stay poor, not because they don't work hard, but because they never step back far enough to see the bigger picture. Wealthy people don't just make more money, they think in timelines the average person never considers. You've got to do both. You need the telescope and the microscope. The telescope gives you vision 5 years out, 10 years out, even 20 years out. The microscope gives you precision. What action am I taking today that's aligned with that vision? Because if you only have a big dream but no daily action, it's fantasy. And if you only have daily action without direction, you're spinning your wheels. But when your vision drives your habits, then you're building something that lasts. Here's how I applied it. One day, I sat down with a blank sheet of paper and asked myself, where do I want to be financially in 5 years? Not next month, 5 years. I wrote down a number: income, savings, investments. Then I asked, what would that look like at year 10? What kind of life, contribution, and security do I want 20 years from now? Those numbers weren't just guesses, they were declarations. And once they were on paper, I could begin the reverse engineering. If I want that life in 20 years, what must I accomplish in 10? And if I want that in 10, what must I hit in 5? Then I brought it down to 1 year, then 1 quarter, then 1 month. Suddenly, the mountain didn't look so far, because now I had the map and the next step. And let me give you a practical challenge. Tonight, take out a notebook and write your 5-year financial vision. Be specific. How much will you earn annually? How much will you have saved? What will your investments be doing for you? Then go to 10 years. What freedoms do you want? What legacy are you building? Push yourself to think long. Then bring it back. What can you do this quarter to begin building the bridge? Maybe it's starting a new income stream, paying off debt, learning a new skill, or setting up automatic investments. Whatever it is, decide short-term but with long-term clarity. Remember, a millionaire mindset isn't built by luck, it's shaped by direction. Most people are reactive, but the wealthy are strategic. They walk forward with the future in mind. Don't let your life be governed by the next emergency or distraction. Anchor yourself to a long-term vision and then wake up each day and build it, one action at a time. That's how wealth is built. Brick by brick, step by step, with the finish line already in view. Most people are trained to think like laborers. Work more hours, get more money, put in more effort. Maybe you'll get ahead. But here's the problem. Effort has limits. There are only so many hours in a day, only so much energy in your tank. Eventually you'll hit a wall. And that's where the thinking must evolve. The wealthy don't just think about labor, they think about leverage. They ask a different question. How can I earn more by doing less, not from laziness, but from intelligence? Now, leverage doesn't mean avoiding work. In fact, it often starts with a lot of it, but it means building things that keep working when you're not. It's shifting your mindset from income by presence to income by design. I remember early on in my journey, I was working long hours trying to make ends meet. One day someone asked me, if you stop working, what happens to your income? I said, well, it stops too. They said, then you don't have a business, you have a job. That question stayed with me because it was true. If I didn't show up, nothing happened. That's not leverage. That's a trap. So I began looking for ways to use leverage. I asked, how can I make my knowledge work while I sleep? That's when I started teaching. I packaged my ideas into talks, books, and training materials. Now those messages could reach people whether I was there or not. That's leverage. It's not just about building income, it's about multiplying impact without multiplying effort. And the moment you understand that shift, you stop asking, how much can I do? And start asking, how much can I build that works without me? Here's how to begin. Think about one area of your income where you're still trading hours for dollars. Maybe it's your job, maybe it's a side business. Then ask, what could I automate here? Maybe there's a task you do manually every day. Can a system or a tool take it over? What could you delegate? Maybe you can hire someone, even part-time, to free you up to focus on higher value work. Maybe you can record your expertise and turn it into a course, a resource, or a service that sells while you sleep. Leverage isn't about shortcuts. It's about structure. You can also leverage people. Wealthy people build networks, not just net worth. They find partners, collaborators, investors, mentors. They realize that 5 minds will go farther than one. I've seen people double their income just by joining forces with someone who filled their gaps: marketing, operations, communication. They didn't do more alone, they built more together. That's leverage. Then there's technology. We live in an age where your message, your product, your solution can scale across the globe instantly, but only if you use the tools. Email lists, automated payments, online platforms, scheduling tools. The wealthy use these tools not just to move faster, but to move less and still grow more. They build systems that do the lifting so their time can be spent designing, not always doing. If you want to break through your income ceiling, start asking different questions. Not how can I hustle harder, but how can I build smarter? What can you remove from your plate? What can you replicate? What can you automate? And what can you delegate? Remember, wealth is not about how many hours you work. It's about how many systems you build. The rich use labor to start, but they use leverage to grow. That's the shift that turns effort into enterprise and time into legacy. Every person faces problems, some small, some large, but not everyone sees these challenges through the same lens. The difference between wealth and struggle often begins in how you perceive difficulties. The wealthy don't just complain about problems. They train their minds to see opportunity inside them. They ask, quote, where's the gap I can fill? What need isn't being met? This mindset transforms obstacles from roadblocks into stepping stones. Early in my journey, I remember facing countless frustration services that didn't deliver, products that fell short, processes that wasted time. Instead of just shaking my head or venting, I began to ask, how would I fix this? Could this be a business? What seemed like mere annoyances suddenly became ideas. One small example. I noticed how difficult it was for many people to get personal development materials easily. That simple observation sparked the idea to package lessons in a way that could reach more people conveniently. That wasn't luck, it was a mindset trained to see possibility where others saw only problems. Here's a practical step you can use immediately. The next time you encounter a personal frustration, maybe it's a slow customer service line, a product missing in stores, or a complicated website and just get annoyed. Write it down. Ask yourself, how would I fix this? Could I create a better service or product? Then push further. Would others pay for this solution? If your answer is yes, you've identified a potential opportunity. This exercise trains your mind to be alert and creative. It forces you to stop seeing problems as nuisances and start seeing them as potential profit points. The wealthy develop this muscle through repetition. Each problem is a seed. Each solution, a potential business or improvement that adds value to the world. It's important to realize that opportunity isn't always about invention. Sometimes it's about better execution. Most breakthroughs come from someone simply doing something better, faster, or easier. The world doesn't always need a new product. It needs a better way of delivering what already exists. Train your mind to spot those gaps. Another important aspect is to become a problem solver for others. The rich understand that wealth flows when you serve meaningful needs. When you solve problems that affect many people, money naturally follows. The question shifts from, how can I get money, to how can I add value? I've seen this principle work countless times. People who simply paid attention to daily irritations and decided to fix them created businesses, earned income, and built wealth. It all started with training their minds to see opportunity instead of obstacles. Remember, your ability to spot and solve problems determines your ability to create wealth. Problems are the market's way of signaling where value is needed. The more problems you solve, the more wealth you can create. So the next time you face a challenge, pause, reflect, and ask, what opportunity is hiding here? Train your mind to find it and watch how your financial path transforms. One of the greatest truths I have learned over the years is that willpower alone is not enough to build lasting wealth. It may get you started, but without a system in place, it's easy to fall back into old habits. That's why automating your wealth behaviors is a strategy the wealthy rely on every day. Systems beat willpower because they remove the daily battles of decision-making and emotional temptation. When your money moves automatically, your focus can stay where it matters most in growth and opportunity. Think about it. How many times have you promised yourself to save more or invest wisely, only to find the money slipping through your fingers during moments of weakness? I remember those days vividly. The difference came when I set up automatic transfers from my paycheck to my savings and investment accounts. This simple act turned saving from a voluntary decision into a non-negotiable part of my financial life. Here's a practical step for you. Automate your finances. Decide on a fixed percentage of your income, say 10 to 20%, that goes directly into investments the moment you get paid. Another 10% can be dedicated to your personal growth books, courses, seminars, because wealth isn't just about money. It's about becoming a person who knows how to attract and manage it. The rest should cover your needs and controlled spending. The key is that these transfers happen automatically before you even see the money in your checking account. Automation removes the temptation to spend what you should be saving. It takes away the daily struggle to make the right choice. You no longer have to rely on willpower because your system is doing the work for you. Automating wealth behaviors also creates consistency. Wealth is a product of repeated good habits. When you automate, you make those habits unbreakable by removing the daily decision fatigue. Over time, the small amounts that are set aside grow exponentially through the power of compound interest, turning pennies into thousands, thousands into millions. Moreover, automation isn't just about saving and investing. It can be applied to budgeting, bill payments, and even charitable giving. When you create systems for all these areas, you free your mind from constant financial stress and open up mental space to focus on ideas and opportunities. Remember, the rich don't depend on motivation or luck. They build systems that carry them through good days and bad. These systems protect their progress and ensure they continue moving forward no matter what emotions arise or distractions appear. So, take this step today. Set up your automatic transfers and let your money work quietly but consistently for your future. The bridge between where you are now and where you want to be is built one automatic step at a time. Don't leave your wealth to chance. Let systems lead you to success. When it comes to building wealth, many people focus solely on setting goals, how much money they want to make, the assets they want to own, or the lifestyle they wish to achieve. While goals are important, they are temporary markers on your journey. What truly determines your financial destiny is the identity you adopt. Wealth is not just about who you have, it's about who you become. It's the difference between chasing a number and living a life that naturally attracts abundance. I've seen countless people chase dollar signs, only to fall back into old habits once those goals shift or become harder to reach. But those who build wealth in a lasting way don't just set goals, they build a wealth identity. This identity becomes the foundation of every decision they make, every habit they form, and every opportunity they pursue. It's a permanent lens through which they view themselves and the world. Here's a practical step that has made all the difference. Write your wealth identity statement. It could be something simple but powerful, like, I am a disciplined, creative wealth builder who multiplies value. Write it down Say it aloud every morning and let it sink deep into your mind. This practice isn't just about repeating words. It's about reshaping how you see yourself. Think of it this way. If you see yourself as someone who always struggles with money, your actions will align with that belief. But if you identify as a person who is disciplined with money, who looks for creative ways to add value and grow wealth, your behavior will start to change to match that identity. You will begin to think differently, speak differently, and act differently, and wealth will naturally follow. I remember when I first began to shift my own thinking from I want to be rich to I am a wealth builder. It wasn't an overnight transformation, but each day I repeated that statement. My choices became more intentional. I started seeking knowledge, building habits, and surrounding myself with people who reflected that identity. It's no coincidence that my financial life began to change as my identity shifted. This isn't just positive thinking, it's psychological alignment. Your mind will always strive to be consistent with the identity you embrace. So why not choose an identity that attracts success, abundance, and financial freedom? When you start living from this new identity, you'll notice your goals becoming clearer, your motivation strengthening, and your actions becoming more aligned. Instead of chasing wealth as a distant prize, you'll find yourself naturally embodying the traits and habits that create lasting prosperity. Remember, wealth begins with who you are, not just what you want. Build your identity first and the money will follow. One of the most profound shifts you can make on your path to wealth is changing how you talk about money. Not just what you say, but how you think about value itself. Most people get trapped in the language of cost. How much does this cost? They ask, as if the price tag is the only factor that matters. But wealth isn't built on prices alone. It's built on value and return. The rich learn early on to speak in terms of value, return on investment, and opportunity cost. When you say, how much does it cost? You're viewing money as something to be spent and lost. But when you start asking, what value does this bring? Or what's the ROI? You're stepping into the mindset of an investor. This simple change in language rewires your thinking. Suddenly, spending becomes an investment, an opportunity to grow, learn, or gain something meaningful. You no longer buy things to consume. You buy things to produce returns, whether that's financial, personal growth, or time saved. I remember when I first started speaking like this to myself and others. It was a subtle change, but it shifted my entire perspective on spending and investing. Instead of hesitating over every purchase, I asked myself what this would return to me in the long run. Was it knowledge? Was it a business opportunity? Would it save me time or open doors to new income? If the answer was yes, then the cost was not an expense, but a stepping stone. Think about your daily decisions, the courses you take, the books you read, the tools you buy, even the people you spend time with. Ask yourself what value these things bring. When you do this consistently, you start training your mind to invest wisely in every area of life. This habit alone can transform your financial reality because you stop reacting emotionally to price tags and start acting strategically. This approach also applies when you negotiate deals, consider partnerships, or evaluate your own business efforts. Successful people always weigh the return on investment before making decisions, ensuring their money, time, and energy flow toward their highest value priorities. So start practicing this today. Replace every, how much does it cost, with what value does this bring? And watch how your mindset shifts from scarcity to opportunity, from spending to investing. This language change is one of the silent laws of wealth because when you think like an investor, you build like a millionaire. There's a powerful truth that many overlook when it comes to building wealth. Your mind is the training ground for your future reality. Before a great athlete ever steps onto the field, before a musician plays a perfect note, they spend countless hours rehearsing mentally. Wealth is no different. The rich understand that what you repeatedly picture in your mind, you will eventually live out in your life. Visualization is more than wishful thinking. It is a deliberate mental rehearsal that prepares you emotionally and intellectually for success. When you see yourself handling money with confidence, closing deals, or watching your investments grow, your subconscious mind begins to accept these images as normal. This acceptance breaks down internal resistance and primes you for the actions required to turn those visions into reality. I found this to be true time and time again. Early in my journey, I would spend a few minutes each day imagining a future where I had financial freedom, not just the numbers, but the lifestyle, the opportunities, and the responsibilities that come with it. This practice wasn't about magic. It was about conditioning my mind to recognize and seek out the possibilities I had envisioned. Mental rehearsal also builds emotional resilience. When you picture yourself succeeding, you reduce the fear and anxiety that often accompany taking financial risks. It's like a dress rehearsal, where you prepare yourself emotionally for the challenges ahead. The more you visualize, the less intimidating those challenges become. To make this practical, I suggest setting aside 5 minutes each day, early in the morning or just before bed, to close your eyes and vividly imagine your financial goals. See the income streams flowing steadily, hear the phone ringing with new opportunities, picture your investments growing steadily, and feel the confidence that comes from knowing you are in control of your financial destiny. Make it real. Picture the details, the kind of work you're doing, the people you're helping, the lifestyle you're enjoying. Let your mind rehearse the emotions, the pride, the calm, the excitement. This mental practice builds neural pathways that encourage real-world action. Remember, what you practice mentally, you prepare to perform physically. Wealth isn't just built in the bank account, it's built first in the mind. So take this mental rehearsal seriously. It's a secret law many overlook, but the wealthy rely on daily. There's a truth about wealth that too many people overlook. Financial knowledge alone isn't enough. You can study every book, attend every seminar, and learn all the strategies. But without mental fortitude, that knowledge often slips through your fingers when life tests you. The rich don't just build their bank accounts, they build their emotional strength. This inner muscle, the ability to control impulses, delay gratification, and stay steady under pressure, is what ultimately holds their wealth intact through the storms. I've seen it countless times in my own life and in the lives of others. Someone will learn the perfect investment strategy but panic and sell at the first downturn. Another will know the importance of budgeting but give in to temptation when faced with a flashy purchase. Knowledge is powerless if your emotions run the show. The wealthy understand this and make discipline their daily practice. Discipline is like a muscle that grows stronger the more you exercise it. It doesn't happen overnight, but with daily small acts of self-control, you build a resilience that becomes unshakable. For example, delaying one small desire every day, whether it's skipping an impulsive buy, holding back from an emotional reaction, or staying committed to a financial promise you've made to yourself, starts to build this muscle. I remember early in my journey, when money was tight, it was tempting to give in to immediate wants. But I made a commitment to myself. Every time I felt the urge to spend unnecessarily, I would pause and reflect. That pause built strength. Over time, this practice made me more deliberate with money, more focused on long-term goals rather than fleeting pleasures. It's also about sitting with discomfort. Wealth building is rarely comfortable. There will be moments of uncertainty, sacrifice, and delayed gratification. Learning to tolerate these feelings without running away is crucial. When you build this mental fortitude, you don't just survive tough times, you thrive in them. So make this practical. Choose one small discomfort to embrace each day. It might be saying no to an unnecessary purchase, sticking to your budget despite peer pressure, or delaying a reward until after a goal is met. These small wins add up and create a foundation strong enough to hold your wealth when external conditions shake. Remember, knowledge alone builds plans, but mental fortitude builds lasting wealth. Without the strength to hold steady, even the best strategies will falter. Make discipline your daily habit and watch your financial foundation grow unbreakable. One of the most overlooked yet powerful habits that separates those who build lasting wealth from those who remain stuck is the ability to delay gratification. This isn't just about saying no to a purchase or resisting a fleeting urge. It's about mastering the timing of your decision so that you invest in your future, not just your immediate comfort. Wealthy people understand that true abundance doesn't come from instant rewards. It comes from patience, discipline, and the wisdom to trade temporary pleasure for long-term gain. Think about this. Every time you make a decision to spend impulsively, you give away a piece of your future wealth. That morning coffee, the flashy gadget, or the impulse buy at the store each, one chips away at the resources that could be working for you in investments, savings, or growing opportunities. The rich see money not as something to be consumed quickly, but as a seed to be planted and nurtured over time. From my own experience, I've learned that the moments before spending are the most crucial. Early on, I struggled with impulsive purchases that later left me regretting the missed opportunity to save or invest. Over time, I developed a simple but powerful rule. Wait 72 hours before any major purchase. This pause isn't just about procrastination. It's about creating space to ask yourself a vital question. Is this helping or harming my future wealth? That question forces you to step back from emotion and think logically. It's amazing how many desires fade once the initial excitement cools. This simple practice trains your mind to value delayed rewards and strengthens self-control, a skill that compounds faster than any dollar in the bank. Delaying gratification isn't just about resisting spending. It's about cultivating the mindset that wealth is built through careful, strategic choices. It's understanding that the discomfort of waiting is temporary, but the benefits can last a lifetime. The rich don't fall for the trap of immediate satisfaction because they know it's the slow, steady path that leads to financial freedom. To make this practical, set a clear rule for yourself. Before any purchase over a certain amount, whether it's $50, $100 or more, give yourself 3 days to decide. Use this time to review your goals, assess your budget, and imagine how investing that money instead might serve your future. You'll be surprised how many must-haves turn into maybe laters. Remember, self-control is a muscle that gets stronger with use. Every time you delay gratification, you invest in your capacity to make wiser financial decisions. Over time, this builds a foundation so strong that wealth no longer slips through your fingers. The power of waiting is the secret currency of the rich. Master it, and you master your financial destiny. Celebrating progress rather than waiting for perfection is a subtle but powerful shift that can transform your entire financial journey. Too often, people look at their wealth-building efforts and say, "I'm not there yet," or "I haven't done enough," and that attitude drains motivation and stalls momentum. The wealthy, however, understand that wealth is not created overnight. It is the accumulation of small, consistent actions taken over time, and recognizing these wins, no matter how small, is essential to sustaining the journey. In my own experience, I've learned that the human spirit craves acknowledgement. When you take the time to celebrate even minor victories like saving a small amount, paying off a debt, or learning a new financial skill, you reinforce your identity as a person capable of success. This celebration creates positive feedback that encourages you to keep going. I remember early in my career, when money was tight and progress seemed slow, I started writing down 3 positive steps I took each week related to my finances. Sometimes it was simply saving a few dollars or reading a book about investing. At other times, it was having a difficult conversation about money or finding a new way to cut expenses. Each time I reviewed this list, I felt a surge of pride and motivation. This simple practice made my goals feel more attainable and real. The power of celebrating progress also lies in its ability to build belief. When you see a trail of small successes, your confidence grows, and with confidence comes disciplined action. This cycle is what separates those who eventually achieve wealth from those who give up at the first hurdle. Make this practical by setting aside time weekly to journal or list 3 actions you took that moved you closer to financial freedom. They don't have to be monumental, just consistent. Then take a moment to acknowledge yourself for these efforts. Maybe it's a simple nod of gratitude, a small reward, or sharing your wins with someone supportive. This habit rewires your brain to focus on what you are building rather than what you lack. Remember, wealth is not a destination, but a process. Celebrate the steps you take today, for they are the foundation of your tomorrow's success. When you honor your progress, you fuel the belief and discipline needed to keep building your financial future. One of the most profound truths about wealth is this: your greatest asset is not your money, your house, or your carrots, Your mind, your skills, your habits, and your knowledge form the foundation upon which all financial success is built. Yet many people overlook this critical point and fail to invest consistently in their own growth. This neglect is one of the silent reasons why wealth stagnates or never arrives. From my earliest days, I realized that my income would never rise above my personal development. The moment I stopped learning, growing, and improving, my progress slowed and my opportunities dried up. Conversely, every time I invested in myself, whether it was through books, mentors, seminars, or courses, my earning capacity expanded. It was not just about money spent, but about the transformation that came from expanding my skills and mindset. This principle is simple but profound. Constant reinvestment in yourself compounds over time, much like compound interest on money. When you dedicate a portion of your income regularly to personal growth, you are building an internal capital that pays dividends for years to come. A mere 5% of your earnings invested in education, skill building, or mentorship can multiply your potential exponentially. Consider the many wealthy individuals who credit their success not just to hard work, but to the discipline of lifelong learning. They understand that markets change, technologies evolve, and industries shift. To stay ahead, they must constantly upgrade their skills, sharpen their thinking, and deepen their wisdom. This is the practical difference between those who remain stuck and those who soar. To apply this, start by setting aside a specific percentage of your income, no matter how small, to invest in yourself. Buy books that challenge your current understanding. Attend workshops or webinars that expand your skill set. Seek out mentors who have walked the path before you and can offer guidance. Enroll in courses that build new competencies or strengthen existing ones. Make learning a non-negotiable expense, just like rent or groceries. This investment is not just about knowledge, it's about mindset. As you grow personally, you start to think differently about money, opportunity, and risk. You begin to see solutions where others see problems. You develop confidence and clarity, which influence every financial decision you make. Remember, the future net worth you desire is directly tied to the rate at which you grow today. Your bank account will never rise above your personal development. Invest in yourself relentlessly, and your wealth will follow naturally. As we draw this conversation to a close, I want you to pause for a moment and truly reflect on what has been shared today. The journey from scarcity to abundance, from struggle to prosperity, is not a mystery guarded by the elite or the fortunate few. It is a path laid out by simple yet profound laws. Laws that govern success as surely as gravity governs the earth beneath our feet. These laws are universal, timeless, and within reach for anyone willing to understand and apply them. You see, wealth is not merely the accumulation of dollars in a bank account. Wealth is the byproduct of intentional living, disciplined action, and a mindset tuned to opportunity rather than obstacle. It is not about luck or chance, it is about choice. It is about the daily decisions you make, how you think, how you speak, and how you act. Each of these choices either moves you closer to financial freedom or keeps you chained to the cycle of struggle. Let me remind you that the greatest wealth begins inside. The wealthiest individuals you've ever heard of started with the same 24 hours each day that you have. They made the decision to invest in their minds, to educate themselves continuously, to embrace failure as a teacher rather than an enemy, and to hold steadfast to clarity and purpose. These are not just good habits, they are the very foundation of financial independence. Throughout our time together, we've talked about clarity, the need to write down your vision and make it plain. This is the compass by which you navigate your financial journey. Without clear goals, your actions become scattered and ineffective. The clarity you cultivate today will pull you through the inevitable storms of uncertainty, confusion, and distraction. We've explored the power of discipline, how it serves as the bridge between your dreams and your reality. Discipline is not glamorous, nor is it easy, but it is absolutely necessary. Without discipline, your ambitions remain wishes, and your goals remain distant dreams. Remember, wealth is built in the mundane, in the repeated actions others are unwilling to take. It is in saving when others spend. It is in learning when others rest. It is in working when others quit. We have also confronted the fear of failure, how the rich think differently about setbacks and disappointments. Failure is not the end, it is feedback, a tuition that teaches lessons money cannot buy. Every failure brings you closer to mastery, provided you choose to learn from it and adjust your course. Those who fear failure remain trapped. Those who embrace it become unstoppable. Another critical truth we uncovered is the importance of multiple income streams. Relying solely on one paycheck is like building your house on sand. Diversification of income, skills, and investments is the cornerstone of lasting financial security. The wealthy do not put all their eggs in one basket. They create multiple channels where money flows, so when one stream slows, others keep flowing. We discussed the quiet but powerful influence of the company you keep. Your circle either elevates you or limits you. If you want to change your financial destiny, start by changing your environment. Seek mentors, engage with peers who share your vision, and immerse yourself in communities that foster growth and challenge complacency. Most importantly, we touched on the fact that wealth is not just a matter of external circumstances. It is your philosophy, the way you see yourself, money, and the world that dictates your fortune. This means that no matter where you come from, no matter your background or setbacks, your thinking holds the key to your financial future. Change your thinking, and you change your life. So what do you do now? Where do you go from here? The answer lies in action. Ideas without action are dreams without fulfillment. You must take what you have learned and put it into practice, one step at a time. Start small if you must, but start. Write your financial goals in ink, not pencil. Create a budget that honors your priorities. Set up automatic savings and investment plans. Carve out time daily to think, to plan, and to learn. Surround yourself with people who push you to be better. And above all, practice gratitude for the progress you make each day. Let today be the day you break free from excuses, from fear, and from the comfortable mediocrity that so many settle for. Let it be the day you decide to live on purpose, to build wealth not just for yourself, but for the legacy you will leave behind. You are the architect of your financial future. The blueprint you draw today will determine the structure you live in tomorrow. Choose clarity over confusion, discipline over distraction, and purpose over procrastination. Know that wealth is not an event, it is a process, a lifelong journey of growth, learning, and intentional living. If you are serious about changing your life, commit now. Commit to thinking differently. Commit to acting consistently. Commit to surrounding yourself with mentors and peers who elevate your thinking. Commit to investing in yourself and your future. Commit to seeing failure not as defeat, but as a stepping stone to mastery. I urge you to take the lessons from this moment and begin crafting your own success story. Your future self will thank you. Your family will thank you. And one day those who follow you will thank you. Remember this. The journey from poverty to prosperity is not paved with shortcuts, but with wisdom, patience, and relentless discipline. Wealth is not a matter of chance, but of choice. Today, you stand at the crossroads. Choose the path of intentional growth, clarity, and courageous action. Begin now. Start where you are. Use what you have. Do what you can. Because money follows clarity, wealth follows purpose, and success follows those who take consistent action day after day. Thank you. And here's to your journey of building true and lasting wealth.